Hey guys, what's up? It's Eric with Advanced Level Automotive. Welcome back to the channel. Today is part 2 of fixing the GT-R. Now before we start today's video, if you guys haven't already done so, make sure you go back and watch part 1. If you did, then you know where we left off. We found out that this vehicle is equipped with an EcuTek tuner. And just to answer the big question, yes, the EcuTek tuner is the reason the check engine light is flashing. Now before I get into details about that, let me take a second to show you guys underneath the hood of the car and explain to you some of the modifications that came with it. Okay guys, so just real quick, I want to show you some of the modifications that are done to this vehicle. So the first and most obvious thing that you'll see are these blow-off valves made by TIAL. I'm not sure how you pronounce that, but as you can see, these are aftermarket blow-off valves. The other thing you'll notice is that over here, up against the firewall, we have this Visconti Flex Fuel. And if I'm not mistaken, I believe this is a fuel alcohol content sensor. These are made for vehicles that are tuned to use E85 or a mixture of E85. And if I take you guys over to the battery cover, you'll see that underneath this cover we have a digital readout for the ethanol content. You'll see right here it says 9. That's indicating that it's 9% ethanol. And if you guys know anything about alcohol content in fuel, you'll know that most regular fuels have about 10% ethanol content, while E85 uses 85% ethanol content. So just by looking at that digital readout, we can tell that right now we don't have any flex fuel or E85 in the tank. Right now it just looks like we have regular fuel in the tank. Now the other thing that I believe we have are upgraded fuel injectors. So if you look down in here, it's kind of difficult to see, but the fuel injectors, I believe they are aftermarket upgraded fuel injectors, because if I'm not mistaken, I believe the factory ones are a blue color and these are a black color, so I'm pretty sure they've been upgraded. Anyways guys, with that being said, I'm going to take you guys over to the computer and explain to you guys why the check engine light is flashing. Okay guys, so we're here at my computer. Now what I want to show you guys was how I figured out why the check engine light was flashing. But before I do that, let me explain to you guys the context here, because you have to understand that I'm not familiar with tuned vehicles or tuners, the EcuTek software, nothing like that. So for me, a technician, when I see a flashing check engine light, immediately I think there must be a misfire. So that was my original train of thought there. But when I didn't see a trouble code for a misfire, nor did I see any misfire data in the mode 6 using my scan tool, I was really kind of lost. And so I actually ended up resorting to just Googling it. And so what I literally did was I got on Google and I Googled GT-R check engine light flashing EcuTek. And so what I found was this forum, and this person is running into the same issue. He's describing the exact same symptoms that I have. And what they're telling him is that when your vehicle is tuned with an EcuTek tuner, the check engine light flashes when it detects an engine knock event. So if you look at this forum here, you'll see this guy, Zachary here, pretty much has the same problem that I'm having. He says, recently purchased a 2014 GT-R. It came with the intake, catless mid pipe, and every once in a while the check engine light will flash when he's on heavy throttle. And so what somebody brought up in the forum here is they said that your car is probably tuned with an EcuTek. Hence, that means you are getting knock. And then he proceeds to tell him that you need to run a data log and probably make some adjustments. So I don't know who this guy is here, BSE, but thank you, BSE, because this really did help me figure out why the check engine light was flashing. Because yes, he was correct. The Noc sensors on this vehicle are detecting a knock event during heavy acceleration. And I know this because I ran a data log on it. All right, guys, so we're back inside the vehicle. Over here on the seat, I've got the laptop. And you can see I've got some live data parameters pulled up. What we're going to try to do is a quick data log. And the data log, essentially what we're going to do is we're going to hit the record button, and it's going to record the data parameters while we're accelerating. We're going to see if we can get this check engine light to flash again. We're going to see what the parameters are reading. Also, if you look over here, you can see that I've pulled up some data PIDs relating to the Noc sensors. You can see there's Noc correction, then there's a Noc sensor cylinders 1 through 6. I'm not really sure why it's showing cylinders 1 through 6. I don't think that this thing has multiple Noc sensors. I'm not really sure how it's reading that data PID. But anyway, if you look down here, you'll see the Noc threshold. I suppose that's a threshold that needs to be reached in order for the check engine light to flash. So what we're going to do right now is we're going to start the vehicle up. So I'm going to go ahead and start it. And if you look over here, I'm going to go ahead and click on this button right here to start the live data. Now you can see our figures are moving. And if you look over here at the Noc sensor cylinders number 1 through 6, you can see it's set up in 3 different brackets here. This is what the current value is. This is the minimum, and this is the maximum. So as we're driving, these values are going to move up and down, and it's going to record what the minimum is, and it's going to record what the maximum is. So whatever the values are. Now, if you look over here, again, looking at this knock correction, I'm not really sure what the knock correction is supposed to be reading, but if we look, it's saying 79 degrees. I'm not sure if that's normal or not, but if we look at cylinders 1 through 6, you'll see the current right here in the center. It's kind of bouncing around 0 and 1, and even the maximum's really around 2. You can see that one just moved a little bit to the -1. So there's no major differences in the parameters here. If we move down to the threshold, looking at the threshold numbers, I'm not really sure what we're supposed to be looking at. Again, guys, I'm learning as I'm going here, but what I'm showing here for cylinder number 1 is a threshold of 256, 256 for cylinder number 2, and for cylinders number 3 and 4 we're looking at 20, and for cylinders 5 and 6 we're looking at 10. So I'm not really sure what those numbers are supposed to be, but we're going to go ahead and take this thing for a drive. We're going to get a quick data log, then we're just going to review it, and then possibly send it over to a tuner, because again, I'm not really sure what I'm supposed to be seeing. This is probably a job better suited for a tuner who's used to working on these things. So anyways, I'm gonna go for a quick drive, record this data log, and see what we find. All right, guys, so I just finished doing the pool. I'm sorry I couldn't record it. It's really difficult to try to control this vehicle while you're accelerating really hard. I mean, it puts you into your seat, and at the same time I'm having to push the record button on this laptop, and I just couldn't do that and hold the camera at the same time. I apologize. But anyway, I went ahead, I did the pool, and I've got the data PIDs pulled up right here, or the data log, excuse me. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna take a quick look at it. So I set it up in this graph mode just to make it easier to get a visual for what's going on here. So if we look at it, let's look at the parameters that we were concentrating on. Let me scroll down here. I guess one of the first things you can pay attention to is the engine speed, RPM. As you can see, this is where I started to take off. We wound out here, and then we started to coast. So this is the pull here. It was pretty quick. And if we scroll down here, we can look at a lot of different things here. Let's see here. Fuel trims we can see here. And we can also look at the ignition timing, which if you look at this ignition timing, it's kind of getting a little weird here. But let's scroll down here. There we go. These are the Noc sensors. Let me put these into the screen here. Okay, so looking at these Noc sensors, you can see there's a lot of activity here. And this is about the time the check engine light started flashing. And so, judging by the way this graph looks, these Noc sensors are pretty noisy. So either we have an actual knocking condition, or we may have like an oversensitive knock sensor. I mean, I guess it's possible if we have an issue with the knock sensor just being oversensitive, or we might have something maybe as far as the drivetrain. It's possible that there could be something loose in the drivetrain. And the reason I say that is because when I'm driving this car, I mean, it feels like there's something clunking in the back, kind of near where the transmission is at. I feel it whenever like I accelerate or when I come to a stop. There's a lot of clunking going on underneath the car, and I'm not really sure where the clunking is coming from. We're probably gonna have to lift up the vehicle. It might even be normal, I'm not really sure, but I guess there's a possibility that we might have some drivetrain noise that's being transferred over to the engine, and the Noc sensors are just picking those up. Now, of course, there's a lot of reasons we could have engine knock or engine pinging. Also may have to do with the fuel. You know, it's possible that they could have maybe some poor fuel or incorrect fuel in the gas tank. Now, going back to this chart, you can actually see that the Noc sensors, some of them are going down to like -87, -37. Looks like cylinder number 4 and cylinder number 5. 4 is -87 and cylinder number 5 is -37. I mean, those numbers just seem kind of pretty far-fetched if you ask me. Okay, guys, so after doing a little bit of research, I found a few different tips that people were giving as far as things we can try to use to remedy the situation, because some people say that it could be an issue with bad gas. So what some people are suggesting is that we try to use maybe an octane booster in the fuel tank to see if we can bring up the octane a few points. I mean, I think it's worth the try. Octane booster is really cheap, so I'm gonna go ahead and see if I can find a bottle of octane booster and let's try it out. All right guys, so we're here at the gas station. I went ahead and I got me a bottle of this Royal Purple Max Boost. It says it's supposed to raise the octane up to about 30 points, which is 3 numbers. And it came with this really nice little funnel here. So we're gonna go ahead and pour this into the tank. Right now we have about 1/4 of a tank of fuel in the car. I'm gonna go ahead and put this in first, and then I'm gonna pour in another couple of gallons from the gas pump here. I've got my disposable gloves. This gas station was kind enough to provide us with some, which is really cool. Thank you guys for that. So with that being said, let's get started. So I went ahead and I attached the funnel. Let's go ahead and pour this stuff into the gas tank. Make sure we get the whole bottle in there. And we are good to go. Let's put some of this Shell V-Power Nitro. Let's go ahead and pour it in. Okay guys, so I went ahead and I did another data log on a hard acceleration after putting the octane booster and putting in a few gallons of super unleaded. And as you can see over here on the chart, these are the Noc sensors, and we still have a lot of activity going on with the Noc sensors. So, I mean, at this point, I don't know if we're dealing with a fueling issue or a fuel quality issue. At this point, I think our next step is probably just to go ahead and pull the spark plugs out, take a look at them, and see if that might give us any direction. Okay guys, so I'm gonna go ahead and remove a spark plug. Now, because the way the intake manifold is designed, it would be really difficult to try to take out all 6 spark plugs. So we're not gonna try to do that. We're going to try to just remove the cylinder number 1 because it's the easiest to get to. It's located right here. So I'm gonna go ahead and pull it out, take a look at it, and use it as a sample for the rest of them. Now I'm just gonna pull the coil out, like so. Okay, so looking at the ignition coil, to me it looks pretty good. I don't see any oil. I don't see any traces of arcing. So the coil itself doesn't look like it's a problem to me. I'm gonna go ahead and pull that spark plug out. I've got a magnet here that I'm gonna use to pull the spark plug out. Okay guys, now taking a closer look at the spark plug. You really don't have to be a genius to tell that it's probably due for a spark plug change. But if you look closely, you can see that we have some evidence of moisture. If you take a look at it, you'll see that all along the threads, it's pretty wet. And if you look along the top, you'll see that it also looks wet. Now, if you're wondering what that stuff is, this is actually fuel, so I can smell it. If I put it up to my nose and take a good whiff of it, you can definitely smell that this is fuel. So that to me is definitely an indicator that we're having a problem where the fuel is not fully igniting, and so it's leaving traces of fuel on the actual spark plug. Now, if you think about the causes as to how this could happen, I mean, there's quite a few different reasons that this could be happening. Number 1 could be a problem with the tune. It could be overfueling, meaning that the injectors are just spraying too much fuel into the cylinder and it's causing the spark plugs to foul out. The second thing could be that these spark plugs are just not able to generate enough of a spark in order to ignite all of the fuel in the cylinder, which, if you ask me, in either case, this car is going to need a whole set of brand new spark plugs. So I think that's going to be our next step. Let's go ahead and order a set of spark plugs and get these replaced. All right, guys, so this is a couple days later. We're here to pick up the GT-R. I didn't get to do the spark plug change. Of course, the car lot, they have their own mechanics. So it was actually cheaper for them to just have one of their mechanics replace the spark plug. So anyways, they called me up, told me the spark plugs were done, everything's ready to go. So let's go ahead and try to do another data log. Okay guys, so we're gonna go on our final run. I've got the computer set up. We're gonna do another data log. So let's go ahead and get on the road and do this pull. Okay guys, so I can tell you right now, after doing 3 pulls, and I mean pretty hard pulls, the check engine light is not flashing anymore. It feels way better. I feel a lot more power on the top end. It doesn't seem like the computer's trying to cut any timing. So far everything seems good. Now I did run some data logs. I don't know what they look like yet. I'm gonna go ahead and try to get this thing back to the shop, and then we're gonna take a quick look at those data logs. All right guys, so we made it back to the shop. Now, some of you may have noticed that on that last pull, the check engine light actually did flash. So I was able to do like 3 pulls. It didn't flash. I thought we were in the green. I was really happy. I was looking forward to bringing it back to the shop, checking out the data log, but I decided to do 1 more pull. And as you guys can see, the check engine light did flash. Now, to me, that does tell me that there was some improvement after doing the spark plug change, but I don't think it totally fixed the problem. It seems to me that we may be dealing with an issue that has to do with the tune, and that's something really that's beyond my ability. That's something I may not be able to fix, so we may end up having to take it to a tuner. But anyways, like I said, we're back here at the shop. I've got the laptop over here on the seat. Let's go ahead and take a look at the data log. All right guys, so we just got done doing the last pull. As you can see up on the screen, we have the data log pulled up. And if you look over here, you can see this is the accelerator pedal position sensor. And you can see where I floored it. And we stayed to the floor up until this point, and then I let off. So this is the section, the area that we're going to be paying attention to. I'm going to scroll down to the Noc Sensors. And as you can see, our Noc Sensors right here, all the way down, cylinders number 1, down through cylinder number 6. You can see we have all of this activity still happening here. So even after doing the spark plug replacement, it looks like we're still dealing with the knock issue. Anyways, guys, at this point, I'm going to go ahead and end off the video. Now, I know I couldn't give you guys a real conclusion as to what's going on with this vehicle, but to be honest, like I said from the beginning, I wasn't even sure if I was going to be able to fix this thing. Now, I have been in contact with the tuner. We are going to try to schedule a date to try to take this car over there, and hopefully I can talk him into letting me show the process on video. That way I can share it with you guys. So anyways, like I always say, thank you for watching the video. I hope you found it useful. I hope you found it informational. If you did, make sure to give it a thumbs up. If you haven't done so already, make sure you subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Thanks.